Okay. I want to call to order this February 1st meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. I'd like to note that all three commissioners are present here in the Nat U. Hill room. We'll start with our public statement. Today it's read by Commissioner Jones.
We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear, and we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC.
Thank you. We'll now move on to department updates. First is Ms. Lori Kelly with the Health Department.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just a few updates. Monroe County is in the low community level for COVID. Cases and hospitalizations continue to fall in the U.S. XBB 1.5 still remains to be the primary circulating variant. And the health department is currently working on getting food inspection reports posted on the website. We hope to complete this process by the end of the week.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
I'm just pleased that the food site inspections will be posted again.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we'll be hearing from you later. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much. Next up is our Sheriff, Ruben Marte.
Good morning, Commissioners. I want to allow my Chief Deputy to speak on my behalf.
Be very, very brief. The cleaning and sanitation of the jail is moving along nicely. We've got, I say we're ahead of schedule on what we're trying to accomplish. We're having a meeting tomorrow to kind of finalize those with the stakeholders and interested parties to kind of finalize those plans and the cost of those plans. So the update is very short, very brief. We're moving rapidly, and we should have some finalized plans laid in on how that will look going forward, that we can be able to come and announce and talk to people about what that really means and what the cost of that is. And I think when we do that, it's going to be, I think it's going to be pleasantly surprising for what we can accomplish and how quickly we can accomplish it. And I think the cost of that there may have been some fears about the cost of that, and I think it's going to be a lot more palatable than most people think. So I'm not trying to be mystic here, but we just don't have all those numbers in. And I certainly don't want to get out over our skis here before we have this meeting tomorrow, if that makes sense to folks. So.
Thank you. Any
Okay.
questions or comments, Commissioner Jones?
Just very pleased that it's moving ahead quickly and well.
Okay. Thank you for your
Commissioner
time.
No, thank you. I understand, just a second, Commander Parker, I understand that Cook has donated a $10,000 floor, is it a buffing machine? Would you explain that to people?
Well, we went over there and we met with Cook, and we went through, they have a warehouse there, and there was a pretty good sized floor scrubbing machine that was just sitting there, and we looked at it and said, what's your plans with that? He goes, whatever your plans are with it. So yes, he donated that machine to us on the spot, and it is already in the jail being put to work. So it's, I think it's just a really good sign of how the community is recognizing that need and coming together, and we all put our resources together and we all work together, and we all have a common goal to that, how quickly and efficiently and cost effectively we can get done what we need to get done. So,
I certainly want to thank
All right.
the folks at Cook for that.
yes,
Makes a
yes,
big difference, for
they've
sure.
been wonderful partners within hours of meeting with them. Yes. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any other departments that have a department update for us? Seeing none, we have a proclamation today.
Yes, this is a proclamation for Black History Month. Whereas from the earliest days of our country, from soldiers fighting in the Revolutionary War to poet Amanda Gorman speaking at President Biden's inauguration, African Americans have strengthened our nation by leading reforms and breaking down barriers. And we remember the work of civil rights leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. and John Lewis, who, among other things, have challenged us to make voting free and available to all citizens, and we know that this effort must continue.
And from the first days of our nation, medical care was often out of reach for African Americans, and still is today in the United States. Black women are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women, with an even bigger disparity in Indiana. And in the United States, the infant mortality rate for Black babies is more than double the white infant mortality rate. Through the many obstacles they have faced over the centuries, Black Americans have shown their resilience and a sense of community.
As we listen to people across the country who are trying to quash the true history of the United States, we proudly join others in celebrating this year's theme for Black History Month, which is Black Resistance, to call attention to how African Americans have resisted historic and ongoing oppression in all forms. And as we say every week in our opening statement, we will fight and resist discrimination and harmful policies, no matter their source. Now, therefore, we, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, proclaim February 2023 as Black History Month, proclaimed this first day of February 2023 by the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. I'd also like to comment on the fact that the local paper has started a series which is intriguing because today, for the first, as its first column, they acknowledged all the work that George Taliaferro did to help break down segregation in this community and in other parts of the United States. And I'm very, very proud that the Taliaferros chose to move back to Bloomington and the impact they had in this community, because they gave a lot to all of us. Thank you.
Indeed. Yeah, good.
It's now time for public comment. This is for items that are not on the agenda. If you wish to speak, either raise your hand or come up to the microphone here in the Nat U Hill room. And I see we have, please state your full name and let us know if you reside in Monroe County. You have 3 minutes, and I see we have someone here in the Nat U Hill room. Oh. Go ahead, there's somebody, okay, come forward. It's a little confusing because we also have hybrid here, so thank you.
My comments overlap with an agenda item, but beyond that.
And what is your name?
My name is Ruth Eit. I am a resident of Monroe County and of the city of Bloomington. I oppose the proposed changes regarding the CRJC membership, and I strongly oppose the process by which those changes are being brought forward for a vote today. In my opinion, the process shows a lack of respect for the CJRC members and for the community overall. As a concerned citizen, I was actively involved in looking at issues related to our criminal justice system prior to, during, and shortly after the release of the Criminal Justice and Incarceration Study. During that period, my impression was that the commissioners wanted the community to be involved at all stages and believed that involvement was crucial to the success of any path forward. While I understand the desire to make progress based on study recommendations, I also note that the study itself was delivered quite late. Sometimes things take longer than we would like. Allowing community voices, allowing city participation, these can be messy, but they are critical to the development of solutions that are broadly understood, have wide-ranging support, and that will serve us well for decades to come. My sincere thanks to City Councilor Crossley in advocating for city representation on the CRJC. My sincere thanks to Sheriff Marte for letting the community know about the true condition of our current jail and for taking immediate steps to improve them. My sincere thanks to everyone who has been actively involved in making sure that many voices are heard on these important criminal justice issues. Commissioners, please don't be afraid of good conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll remind people this is for items that are not on our agenda. This time for public comment. So, Seth, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. And I actually had a procedural question, and hopefully you can answer this for me. That's right. I would also like to comment on agenda item P, which is the ratification, but I was not sure
later.
if there's a public comment section for that. Should I wait?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will cede my time then until the time is right. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment for items not on the agenda? I see Nicole Bolden has her hand raised. Please go ahead.
Good day, and thank you for hearing me today. I just wanted to note that it is Black History Month. I'm glad you mentioned it in your opening comments, and wanted to encourage everyone to attend Black History Month's event around the community. We've got some really great events planned through the city, which you can find on bloomington.in.gov, and IU also has some wonderful Black History Month events that are coming up. The city just did its kickoff on Monday evening. I was really pleased to see a couple of elected officials from the county there, as well as from the city. Councilor Crossley was there, Judge Houghton was there, City Council Member Jim Sims was there, and City Council Member Isabel Piedmont Smith were all there. And so there are more events that are coming up, and I hope to see all of you there as well, commissioners. But it's a great time, and we can learn a lot and grow, and then it's a great way to experience the month of February, and then we'll get to roll over into Women's History Month as well. So thank you, and that's all I had to say.
Thank you very much, Clerk Bolden. Anyone else? If not, we'll move on to the next item. Do I have approval of the minutes?
I move approval of the minutes January 18th, 2023.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments, corrections?
None.
No. And call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from January 18th, 2023 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of the claims docket, accounts payable January 25th, 2023, and accounts payable February 1st, 2023, and payroll January 27th, 2023.
Second.
And Ms. Lettler.
Good morning, Commissioners. Accounts payable for January 25th, 2023 is $4,830,204.45. And accounts payable for February 1st, 2023 is $1,686,618.10. And finally, payroll for January 27th, 2023 is $2,314,785.35.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Thomas? I don't have any either. So I call for a vote on the approval of the claims docket for accounts payable January 25th, 2023, accounts payable February 1st, 2023, and payroll for January 27th, 2023. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. I will note for the record that we have a report from our Weights and Measures Department. I always enjoy reading all the things the little details that he includes in his reports, so appreciate that. So we'll move on now to new business. First item, please.
I move approval of an agreement with TrueChem Water Solutions, fund name County General, fund number 1,000, the amount of $896 monthly.
Second.
And we have Mr. Kreider here with us to explain this.
Good morning, Commissioners. Richard Kreider, Fleet and Facilities Manager. This agreement provides for monthly water treatment of the cooling towers and loops at the following facilities: the courthouse, $100, Showers Building, $299, Justice Building, $497. These rates are monthly. The water treatments are necessary to protect the equipment from scale, corrosion, and bacterial contamination.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments?
No, there.
None.
I don't have any either. It was all very straightforward in the packet, I think. I appreciate the fact that this is being done. It preserves the buildings and the pipes
Yes,
in a much better way.
absolutely. The bacterial is big too.
Okay. So all those in favor of approving the TrueChem, public comment, sorry. Still getting used to this. Seeing none, call for a vote on TrueChem Water Solutions Agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of an agreement with Harold Fish, Inc. for equipment maintenance and repair, fund name County General, fund number 1,000, in an amount of $155,645.27 over 3 years, plus additional charges per the contract.
Second.
Thank you. Again, Mr. Kreider.
This agreement provides for preventative maintenance and service of air conditioning, heating, and water management equipment serving the following facilities: the historic courthouse, Showers Building, Justice Building, Curry, Fiscus, Johnson, Health, Youth Services Bureau, Highway Garage, the County Parking Garage, and the Emergency Operations Center. Also included in this agreement are the labor rates and additional fees for work outside of the preventative maintenance scope.
Okay. Questions?
None, thank you.
Again, I appreciate the fact that this is preventative work as well as maintenance. So all those in favor of approving the Harold Fish? Oh, public comment again. You need to just poke me, okay? All those in favor of approving the Harold Fish, Inc. Equipment Maintenance and Repair Agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of the Kirby Risk LED retrofit proposal, fund name County General, fund number 1,000, the amount of $2,610.
Second.
Thank you again, Mr. Kreider.
This request is to approve the purchase of 15 LED retrofit packages from Kirby Risk in the amount of $2,610. The LED retrofits will replace the older high-intensity discharge lighting and the outdoor light poles at the Monroe County Highway Department. This work is necessary due to multiple fixtures burning out on the property and also the benefits of upgrading to LED lighting.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Mr. Jones and Commissioner Thomas? Hopefully this will also help reduce some of the electricity costs out there.
I believe it will.
So that's good. Yes. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I call for a vote on the Kirby Risk LED retrofit proposal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of a letter of agreement with Solid Waste Management Green Business, fund name County General, fund number 1,000, the amount of $1,600 per year.
Second.
Again, Mr. Kreider.
All right, this agreement is with Monroe County Solid Waste Management Green Business. It's recycling pickup services for the following county buildings: the Curry Building, $800, 1 pickup per week; Community Corrections, $800, 1 pickup per week.
Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
No, I'm just glad we're doing this. Thank you.
I'm glad also that we're able to do this, and I noticed that this is in addition to what we approved last week for other county buildings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on letter of agreement with solid waste management, green business. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of an agreement with insulated roofing contractors for the Justice Building roofing recoat. Fund name, Cumulative Capital Development Fund, Fund number 1138, in the amount of $129,777.
Second.
Mr. Kreider?
Pursuant to property insurance claim 800627 is an agreement with insulated roofing contractors, IRC, to scan, clean, and coat the Justice Building roof. IRC will employ an infrared scanner to identify any areas of trapped moisture under the roof cap, power wash to the roof surface, and spray a new layer of Progressive Materials high solid silicone coating over the cap sheet in the amount of $129,777. The new coating material has a 5-year manufacturer's warranty. We do anticipate additional expenses after the infrared scan. Any areas with trapped moisture underneath the roof cap will be repaired at a unit cost of $15 per square foot per inch, but that amount is unknown at this time.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Thomas?
Can you provide a bit of clarity on $15 per square foot / per inch?
Yes. So
There's a thickness to it.
these roofs have different thicknesses. And think about a square foot, and if they have to dig down 2 inches of insulation that's wet, then you're 30, I
Right.
think, you know.
Thank you.
Yes, this is going to be quite an undertaking because we'll have to move the solar panels that are on the roof as well, right?
Yes, we will.
But this also addresses some of the things we heard about at the recent CJRC meeting. We hope it will take care of that.
Yeah, it does. There's multiple issues, you know, with the roof. There's some leaking going on we need to have addressed, and it kind of all stems back to this coating failure.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the insulated roofing contractors Justice Building roofing recoat agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of the agreement with Solar Energy Solutions for Justice Building solar panel removal and reinstallation, fund name Cumulative Capital, fund number 1138, in the amount of $63,750.
Second.
Thank you. Getting tired of standing there, Mr. Kreider?
No, I'm all right. Pursuant to property insurance claim number 800627 is an agreement with Solar Energy Solutions in the amount of $63,750 to shut down, remove, and stage the solar panels on another section of the roof until the new roof coating is applied. The panels will then be returned and installed in their original location.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
No, I'm glad that this is getting done. This is the same insurance claim as the previous item, and that was something that you'd been working on for a bit, yes?
Yeah, for a long time. It was finally settled late in 2022.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to throw out there that we may want to consider placing these panels in another site as opposed to putting them back on the roof. That was something that wanted you guys to give some consideration to as we're moving through this process, but you've got some time to think about it.
Mr. Jones?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I actually wondered what that would mean to the contract if we decided that we wanted to put these solar panels somewhere else.
I definitely think it's worth exploring. I do. The solar panels, it's a flat roof. The solar panels aren't positioned very high off the roof. Showers, sloped roof, good drainage. The Justice Building, not so much. Water sits under the panels. And it's not a great situation. And I think it's something we need to look at.
Okay, well, we'll move forward on that then.
Okay.
Hopefully you can come back to us and make a suggestion on what we should be doing with those solar panels. So appreciate that.
Yep.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Solar Energy Solutions Justice Building solar panel removal and reinstallation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much, Mr. Kreider. Next item.
I move approval of the Microsoft 365 licensing purchase from Soft Choice, fund name Cumulative Capital, fund number 1138, in the amount of $59,610.
Second.
And we have Mr. Crone here.
Good morning, everyone. Greg Cron, Technical Services Department. This one's pretty straightforward. Of course, everyone knows, I think at this point, that we're in the process of upgrading to Microsoft 365 countywide. When this project was started by the previous IT director, the focus was going to be on what we consider high-value targets, elected officials, department heads as the only ones being migrated over, with a few exceptions. The insurance requirement has kind of changed on that, and now they expect all county users to be on that same system. So with that, in light of that, the original amount of licenses purchased is inadequate for what we need. So I need to pick up another 125 licenses from Microsoft so we can finish our migration.
Excellent. Comments or questions?
No, it makes sense.
And I applaud TSD for how quickly you're actually moving through the different departments to get some of this taken care of.
I'm sorry, I was having trouble here.
I applaud how TSD is working through this to get this on all, everybody's computers.
The migrations actually went pretty well. Of course, with any change, you're going to have little bugs here and there that we've had to work out, but all in all, I'm very pleased at how this is going.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I call for a vote on approval of Microsoft 365 licensing purchase from Soft Choice. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Commissioners.
Next item.
I move approval of an on-call service agreement with Bledsoe, Rigger, Cooper, and James. Fund name County General Non-Reverting Contractual, fund numbers 1,000, 1178, and 1179, in an amount not to exceed $5,000.
Second.
And we have Ms. Whitmer here to talk to us about this.
Hello. This is the third time we've had an on-call agreement with Bledsoe, Rigger, Cooper, James, and we've found it very helpful. If we have a survey question that we need to address quickly, this is what we'll do with this. Or if we have a very small engineering question, it makes it more easy if we're doing construction at the time to give them a call to make sure we're doing everything correctly.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Mr. Jones, Commissioner Thomas? Is there any public comment on this item? I heard about this at the most recent Parks Board meeting, so yeah, pretty informed on this. So if there's no public comment, then I call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the Bledsoe, Rigger, Cooper, James on-call service agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of a service agreement with Bledsoe, Rigger, Cooper, and James for Karst Athletic Complex Fields. Fund names County General Non-Reverting Contractual, fund numbers 1,000, 1178, and 1179, in an amount not to exceed $11,460.
Second.
Again, Ms. Whitmer.
In 2020, the Park Board hired BRCJ to do a comprehensive study of the Karst Athletic Complex Fields 1 through 12. It was a general, to just see where we are in pricing. Since then, we've met with constituents, Cutter Soccer, et cetera, and we have narrowed down the scope now to fields 9 to 11, 6, 7, and 8, where we can look at synthetic turf and natural turf, and we can pivot if we say, you know, we can only muster up X amount of money, let's do this project. But this will give the Park Board options to look at projects. and they would like to give this to the commissioners into the council for their review and consideration. And they are totally understandable if, you know, if you all decide nothing should be done, or maybe we should look at this in 5 years, or maybe we should look at this in a year. The park board believes it's their responsibility to inform everyone of a facility that's over 30 years old and the problems that it is having and some solutions. Nothing is cheap, nothing lasts forever, but they think that this report will give good numbers to present to the decision makers to consider.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Commissioner Thomas?
Yeah, I had already sent questions to Ms. Whitmer about this, because this is an issue that has been raised in the past, and, you know, I'm okay with this. Obviously, we do need more information, but what I would ask is that when it's time to come back with a proposal, that there's specificity and clarity about access to new fields. Who would have access to them? Because in the past, it's been floated that only certain organizations would access some of the fields. And this is a public park, and I'm not happy with that. But I would like to hear what the plan is in terms of access. So not now, but when you come back. Thank you.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
And this is not just for the surface of the field. This is for drainage and for lighting and all kinds of things that go with it,
For
right?
fields 6, 7, and 8, looking at drainage, irrigation, and transferring to LED lights. The lights are decades old. They're the high HID. They're burning out. They're expensive to maintain and expensive for the electrical bill. The way to go in the future will be the LED lights. So we're going to get options, you know, and plus Bledsoe Rigger Cooper James will recommend what should be done as a group to be more efficient. As in, if you do drainage, you need to do irrigation at the same time because you're cutting the field up. It'll be down for the same amount of time, and that you shouldn't do it twice. It'll just cost you twice as much. So we will have efficiency, you know, broken into this report and to give options and choices.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I call for a vote on the Bledsoe Rigger Cooper James Service Agreement for the Karst Athletic Complex fields. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Ms. Whitmer. Next item.
I move approval of an on-call service agreement with Cassidy Electrical Contractors, Inc., fund names County General Non-Reverting Contractual, fund numbers 1,000, 1178, and 1179, not to exceed $20,000.
Second.
Again, Ms. Whitmer.
And this has happened before. 2 weeks before our largest tournament, we had light poles go down, we had systems go down, we had to call Cassidy because of we believe the only one in the community that has the proper skills to fix the lights, and basically they dropped everything and came and helped us. This gives us, if this happens again, we have enough funds to take care of any major problems. The largest bill we've ever had on the lights were about $12,000, and that was a catastrophic problem, but it always seems to happen a week before a tournament. And this is also for any other small projects that we may have. If we don't need them, we won't spend any money. And you have to bring in a big lift truck, too.
Commissioner Thomas, any questions or comments? Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Is there any public comment on this? It's not just that Cassidy, as you said, has the expertise, they also have the equipment that's necessary. These are high light poles.
This is a particular skill, and we have other electricians there before with not good results. This is very expensive equipment. We need to have the best contractor available in our county.
Okay, see, there was no public comment, and so call for a vote on on-call service agreement with Cassidy Electrical Contractors. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of a retainer agreement with Bluestone LLC for tree remediation and removal. Fund names County General Greenway Services, and non-reverting fund numbers 1000-30006, 1000-30045, 1178, and 1179, not to exceed $30,000.
Second.
And we have Mr. French here with Ms. Whitmer.
I want to introduce Andy French. He's the park superintendent and also, I believe, the only certified arborist in county government. Andy has been working very hard at his skills, and he's here to answer any questions because I know tree removal is very close to everyone's heart, and we want to make sure that you know we love trees, but we really do need to take care of trees that are dangerous and hazardous on the greenways or in the park settings. So if you have any questions.
Commissioner Thomas?
No, I don't have any questions. I appreciate that you noted the situation with the northern long-eared bats, and I know that some other species have been added to that, so I appreciate the care, and obviously when we have to deal with tree removal for safety's sake, then the question is always, how do we replace them, and do we have funding for that?
And that's something we do. We try to replace around 20 to 30 trees a year within our Parks Department, just kind of based off what we have funds for and time to plant. So, and like she said, we only take trees down when they're dangerous. So it's not like we're just out cutting down every tree we can find. But for new construction and/or dangerous trees. So.
And plus, you've been working.
Yeah, with the highway garage, we're getting ready to have them through. I'm not exactly sure which fund, but they got a bunch of trees they need to plant, so we're hoping to get some of those too.
Awesome.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, Ms. Whitmer has heard me talk about this a number of times before. When trees are being removed, when it's possible to leave the limbs and not remove all the debris, then that can at least feed the forest again.
And we do a lot of that everywhere. On our trails specifically, in the past when we've had Bluestone come in and take down a bunch of trees, mostly dead ash is what we've been dealing with on our trails. But if it's in a spot where they can leave a 10-foot stump and it's not going to impact the trail if it falls, we do that all day, every day. And then just leaving the brush too, it's way cheaper for us and it's habitat. So.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
I remember this was several years ago, one of the trees that you took down was in such bad condition that when whoever it was that started to saw into it, water just came gushing out.
Yep.
Because the tree was in such bad condition.
Yep.
It was hollow.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I know that you don't do these things haphazardly. I know there's a lot of care and planning that goes into each of this. And I also want the public to know that the Parks Department actually has software where you keep track of every tree, basically.
Yep. We had Davy Resource Group a couple years ago come in through funds from the Parks Department and a grant through the state and do a tree inventory of all our trails around our shelters and a couple internal trails throughout the parks, and just get the high-risk trees. And so that's what the main thing we use our software for, is keeping track of all our bad trees. So then when we have Bluestone come in, we can literally just give them the numbers of every tree that's on our software. They can pull it up on the computer and pinpoint with GPS coordinates where exactly the tree is they need to take down. It's called Tree Keeper, is the name of the software, and it's Davy Resource Group's own software. But it works real well for that.
And Amy Thompson, Purdue University Extension agent, recommended Davy Resource in this particular software as the best we have in the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly applaud all the efforts on the trails. One time when I was walking at the Karst Farm Greenway, I actually saw some of the pieces that are left there.
Yep.
And so appreciate that. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on Bluestone LLC retainer agreement for tree remediation and removal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you both, Mr.
Thank you.
French and Ms. Whitmer. Next item.
I move approval of the STOP grant agreement with the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. Fund name STOP grant, fund number 8123, in a grant amount of $102,869.81.
Second.
And we have Ms. Hamlin here to talk with us about it virtually. Ms. Hamlin, can you join us? Oh, can she be promoted to panelist, please?
Great. I've been promoted. Good morning, Commissioners. This is a request for approval and signature of the grant agreement with Indiana Criminal Justice Institute for our STOP grant funding. It covers dates 10/1 of 2022 to 9/30 of 2023. The STOP grant funds 50% of the salary, FICA, and PERF for a sex crime deputy prosecutor and a domestic violence deputy prosecutor. These two deputy prosecutors, in conjunction with the sex crime and domestic violence victim assistants and a part-time investigative assistant, make up the special victims unit within the Office of the Prosecutor. The goal of the SVU is to more efficiently focus resources, training, and staff on crimes of violence against women. I'm happy to take any questions.
No
Mr.
questions.
Thomas?
Glad we do this.
Mr. Jones?
I agree.
I'm very glad we do it, and when I was reading through all the detail on this, I was just appalled at the low percentage of rapists that are prosecuted. So I really appreciate this because I know that this is one of the ways that you work with victims, and that trauma can be very severe for people. So very,
Yes,
very
and
thankful.
there's a lot of training for law enforcement wrapped up in this as well, on interviewing and, keeping victims on board.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Sorry, I get a little emotional about some of these things, so anyway. Seeing none, I call for a vote on the Stop Violence Against Women grant program. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Ms. Hamlin.
Thank you.
Next item.
Move approval of the Surveyor Review Board reappointments.
Second.
And I believe we have Mr. Enright Randolph here to speak with us.
Yes, hi. Actually was hoping to be there in person, but I kind of from one meeting to the next meeting and had to just jump on here. So sorry I wasn't able to join you in person. I'm just looking to reappoint. I do now kind of think I should have added another step to this because Todd Boardman and Eric Deckard are residents of Monroe County, and last time we appointed Rachel Ozer and reappointed her, we asked for approval to waive the what is it? I can't think of the exact code, but basically uniformity of boards and commission, because Ms. Ozer does not live in Monroe County, and that was something that the Board of Commissioners had approved last go around. I'm not sure if Mr. Schilling can help us with that exact waiver. I do have previous commissioner requests I can look up real quickly. That would be helpful.
Yeah, I would.
And can I be heard? Okay, sorry.
No, I would just, Tron is asking the commissioners to waive the residency requirement in our boards and commissions ordinance in Chapter 2 of our county code, which requires appointees to be residents of the county.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas, any questions or comments?
No.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
I don't either. It seemed pretty straightforward with, this is what we did 2 years ago, I believe. So, is there any public comment on this item? If not, I call for a vote on Surveyor Review Board reappointments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of ratification of Ozer Surveying and Mapping LLC Service Agreement, Fund Name Surveyor's Corner Perpetuation, Fund Number 1202, in amount not to exceed $24,000.
Second.
Thank you. Ken.
So this is a complete oversight on my behalf. We had looked at this last year, and I had worked with legal of creating kind of a template of sorts, which then identified the exhibits that really outline the scope of work. And kind of through this process, I had not updated the template from the prior use of it. So it had the wrong name indicated on the first 2 pages. What is in your packet is a corrected version. So I just thought this would be the more formal process of kind of correcting that mistake or oversight. Also, I will just say, as this was introduced, it did indicate the right person on the agenda request. We did approve it verbally with the right person, and the exhibits did have the right name on it. So it was an oversight of not updating the template to reflect the right person.
Questions or comments? Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Jones? So this is not an additional cost to the county. This is just ratification of something that we've already reviewed?
Correct. The work is ongoing, so we haven't paid it out, but this was all approved and budgeted in 2022 and encumbered into 2023. So yes, it doesn't have any impact on what we are currently obligated for.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on ratification of Ozer Surveying and Mapping LLC Service Agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next item.
I move approval of ratification of ordinance 2023-03, amendment to Monroe County Code Chapter 230 for the Women's Commission.
Second.
And I don't believe Ms.
Yeah,
Turner King is here, so Mr. Schilling?
Yeah, Molly Turner King is in a final pretrial for a jury trial right now. I believe this ordinance changes the voting membership of the Women's Commission slightly. Previously, there were 3 members appointed by the commissioners, citizen members, 2 citizen members appointed by the council, then a member who was a Board of Commissioner or a designee of the Board of Commissioners, and a member who was a council member or a designee of the council member. All 7 of those members had votes. Under this amendment, only it increases the citizen memberships by 1 each, so there'll be 7 citizen memberships who will be voting memberships. The 2 members representing the council and the commissioners or their designees will be ex officio members.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Oh, you made it. Hi.
You did a really good job.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you? So the Women's Commission amendment was an amendment that was adopted at the meeting, not the last meeting that we were at. And it changed, I'm not looking at it. It changed the composition to the fact that it was going to be, although 9 people, 7 voting members, because 2 members would be ex officio. When the commissioners adopted the ordinance, we did not include in the language that it would be 7 voting members. So the thing that I would like to point out is that in the version I believe that was provided to you, it does add the word voting after the 7 members.
Thank you. So this actually helps with some of the quorum issues that this group was having.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Now, Commissioner Thomas, any
No questions. Thank you for working on this. Thank you for being here.
Commissioner Jones, is there any public comment on this? I certainly appreciate the clarification. Seeing no public comment, a call for a vote on ratification of ordinance 2023-03, an amendment to Monroe County Code, Chapter 230. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you for taking time away from your prep.
Thank you.
Next item.
I move approval of ratification of an amended ordinance 2023-04, which is an amendment to Monroe County Code Chapter 457, Monroe County Community Justice Response Committee.
Second.
Again, Mr. Schilling.
Actually, I'm going to take this one.
Okay.
I want to, first of all, ask for some clarification. You're requesting ratification of the proposal that you had previously approved during a work session. Since that time, there's been conversation with the presiding judge who has made the specific request that the judges be at the number of 2, and has also requested that probation not be part of the committee or the commission because they work for the Board of Judges, and it puts, it's redundant, and as per the presiding judge requests, there is and is included in our packet today. There is the agreement that shows that this committee would be reduced to actually 12 members. There would need to be the addition of language under 457-2, Section C, when it references the presiding judge, it should indicate or his/her designee. And also item H would be is struck out, which includes the Monroe County Chief Probation Officer. This document is, as I said, is in your packet today, and it represents the request as it's understood by me from the presiding judge.
Thank you very much. So this is an amended version of what we had ratified at our last meeting. So Commissioner Thomas, any comments or questions?
No, I think I do want to highlight something that Ms. Purdy alluded to, and that's the fact that the presiding judge has supported 2 judges being on this committee and has asked to exclude probation, and we're honoring her request.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
I would like to have one small change that I thought was in here, and then I guess I missed it when I went to sleep. On item C, the 2 members shall be chosen by the Monroe County Board of Judges from its membership, with one being the presiding judge or his or her designee. So that language is not currently in there. So I'd like to propose an amendment so that item C would read.
Here's my question. Just before you make an amendment, it says each member shall serve at the pleasure of the appointing body or official, while each member may appoint a proxy if necessary. So, and that applies to all the members that are listed, and that would include the presiding judge.
As it was explained to me, a proxy sometimes is a little different than a designee, and I don't know the legal ramifications of any of that.
If it helps, I did read that into, when I was making the reference to this separate ordinance, I did indicate that we would need to add the language after presiding judge's item C or his/her designee. So it's on the record. If you approve that, I think that you're in good shape. But I could be wrong. Mr. Schilling can certainly advise as to that.
Yes. Yes. and that was discussed with the presiding judge. It has her approval.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to amend this ordinance as it stands to add the words at the end of item 4572-2C, or his or her designee.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this amendment? I see Seth has his hand raised. Is this about the amendment?
It is about the ratification of the ordinance in a whole, not just the specific item that you just added, the or designee.
Okay. And I see Ms. Piedmont Smith has her hand raised. Is this about the amendment?
Yes, it is about the amendment.
Please go ahead, and you have 3 minutes.
Oh, I just wanted to encourage you to use the pronoun there instead of his/her, because that's more inclusive.
Thank you. Is there any reaction to that?
No, it's just following our typical protocol.
I don't know if everyone heard that, but Commissioner Thomas said this just following our typical protocol. It's not meant to exclude anyone. Okay, all those in favor of amending item 457-2, Part C, to include and or his designee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The amendment passes 3-0. And now on to the remainder of the item. Commissioner Thomas or Commissioner Jones, any comments? Any other clarification, Ms. Purdy?
I don't believe so.
Okay, and I see we have a comment from Seth. Please state your full name and whether or not you're a resident of Monroe County.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, my name is Seth Muchler, and so hold on 1 second. I'm trying to get my screen. I can only see my own name. I guess I can't see you at the same time. That's okay. So my name is Seth Muchler. I am a resident of Monroe County, and yeah, as some of you may have got to know me over the last number of meetings, I usually come with sort of a thought out and prepared sort of comment, but I'm just sort of going off the cuff here today. I just sort of feel like these decisions, from my perspective, are being made from a very top-down sort of approach. And I understand you as the commissioners have the authority to make changes to this committee and to this advisory group. But I just think about the ways in which in my personal and professional life, if I was serving on a group and if I had concerns about the way that that group was moving, I mean, I hear from you that you were concerned about the pace at which it is going, and you were concerned that you were worried it is being bogged down by bureaucracy of having too large of a group, even though we're only netting, reducing by 2 members with these changes. I mean, if I was in that situation, I would go to the people with who I work and say, okay, here are my concerns, let's talk about them, and let's, as a group, as a collaborative organization, figure out the best way forward. And unfortunately, I just don't see that happening. What I see happening is you've identified a problem, which I'm not even going to say whether I think it is or is not a problem. I don't know. I haven't really thought, you know, I guess I'm mostly just responding to the way it's being handled. I haven't even had an opportunity to think about the legitimacy of your claims, because I just don't like the protocol in which it's being done, if that makes sense. And so, I mean, what I would hope that you would do today is to put a stay on ratifying this amendment until the next CJRC meeting with the existing members of that committee and saying, hey, here's what we are thinking, here's our concerns, here's our thoughts, let's talk about it, and then come to a decision together. And I'd imagine that, I know I would feel more comfortable with that. I imagine the committee would feel more comfortable with that. I imagine you get a lot more buy-in from that committee and from the public by doing so. So it's also, and I feel like your best interest, if I may be as bold to state that, like it's in your best interest to involve the committee on decisions of committee membership. Again, I know you have the authority, but just it seems like a good idea to me, and I don't know how you feel, but it just seems like a good idea to me. Ask them, hey, what do you think? So that is what I have to say. I also want to really quickly give thanks to Councilmember Piedmont Smith. I also like the idea of using gender-neutral pronouns. I understand that it's against protocol, standard protocol, but I just want to second that motion from Councilmember Piedmont Smith. So thank you for your time, and I will cede the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Metzler. I see we have also Natalia Galvin with us. Please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Natalia Galvin. I am a resident of Monroe County. I'm here to express my extreme disappointment with the removal of the judicial voices, the removal of the health department voices, and what's not on here, the refusal to add city voices to the composition of the CGRC. I believe it is incongruent to see Commissioner President Giffen celebrating Indiana public health at the State House last week, and Commissioner Thomas serve on the Community Voices for Health Advisory Board, yet call for the removal of a Department of Health voice on the CAJRC today. Furthermore, community organizations, electeds, and residents have been calling for the addition of city council and administration voices at the CGRC table for months. We have reached out to commissioners in meetings, private discussions, etc. By excluding city council and administrative appointments, residents are being cheated out of land opportunities, transit conversations, and more. Just last week at the city council meeting, it was suggested that land might be available at Hopewell. The commissioner's unwillingness to collaborate with the city will force residents to pressure Monroe County Council representatives to pledge not to fund any future capital project regarding the jail unless city appointments are made to the CGRC. Finally, it is clear to me that the community must watch each CGRC and commissioner meeting, because no longer is there good faith that the commissioners or their administrative assistant will address the jail issues with the urgency and humanity that is required. We will be watching closely to see the list of priorities to remedy these inhumane conditions closely, and as Sheriff Marte gets the support he requires. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this item? I'll go back to my colleagues. Anything else you wish to add?
I just want to add that the reason health was removed, and it was with Ms. Kelly's knowledge and understanding, is because the time is not ripe yet to have health involved, and she has so many things going on. So there's certainly no slight involved there at all. The other point, and it relates to that, is this continued call for city representation. And first, I will note that members of county government represent city residents because the city's within the county. And so it underscores a myth that somehow we don't represent city residents, and while we do. And I think the second and most important point is, indeed, we are going to be reaching out to the city extensively, but the time is not right. It's not the moment to do that yet. And so everybody can attend, everybody can share their voices and their concerns and offer public comment, and that's what we need. And but we need to move forward. Somebody used the word urgency. The more people on this committee, the less we get done. And at this point, I think this is about expediency while also being transparent and involving the public every step of the way.
I'd also like to add that if the Hopewell property or area is available for building of a new jail, we would love to work with the city on that. We're not excluding them from that kind of discussion, but we've heard no one coming forward on that item, even though it has been raised publicly. So, is there anything else? If not, I call for a vote on the ratification of amended ordinance 2023-04, which is an amendment to Monroe County Code, Chapter 457, on the Monroe County Community Justice Response Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Next item.
I move approval of ordinance 2023-07, approving Building Code Authority interlocal.
Second.
Mr. Schilling.
Thank you. This is the annual housekeeping matter of extending our building interlocal with the city of Bloomington. And since 1996, the county offices have been providing building inspections county-wide, including the incorporated areas of Bloomington. And our building department works with hand before issuing any permits within the city pursuant to this agreement. So this would extend the agreement, that arrangement, until January 1st of 2024.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions, Commissioner Thomas?
None.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
I'll just point out that this is one of a couple of different interlocal agreements we have with the city, so we do work with them at times. Comments or questions from the public? Seeing none, call for a vote on ordinance 2023-07, approving the Building Code Authority interlocal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
Move approval of an agreement with Financial Solutions Group for continuing disclosure. Fund name and fund number to be determined, the amount not to exceed $5,000.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Schilling.
Thank you very much. And this is a federal law requirement, this continuing disclosure. Whenever we sell bonds, which are municipal securities, we have to do an official statement which outlines the financial health of the county, so that the people purchasing the bonds can have a good idea of whether they're going to get paid back, their interest is going to be paid and so forth. So after the bonds are sold, in the past, it was very difficult for people who would then try to sell the bonds to someone else to find out whether it was a good investment or not, because they didn't have access to the financial records of the county. So they came up with a plan where every year issuers would have to file their financial statements and other information with what was known as a nationally recognized municipal securities information repository, or NERMSR. And there were about 4 or 5 of them in the country, and we had to assemble large packages of material and ship them off. Then in 2009, they changed the law and pulled it all under the SEC. And so now we just have to send one package to the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, and they pop it on their website so everybody can access it. So anybody that wants to buy a Monroe County bond in the future will know what the condition of the financial condition of the county is. So this is something that we've paid Financial Solutions Group to do for years and years for us, and this is sort of a renewal of that arrangement. Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation. Comments or questions from my colleagues?
No. That was awesome. Thank you.
You did it without notes. That's impressive. Is there any public comment on this item? If not, call for a vote on Financial Solutions Group continuing disclosure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move for approval of an agreement with Financial Solutions Group for the TIF annual reports, and the amount not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
Again, Mr. Schilling.
Thank you. And this is a state law requirement. So every year, since we do financings for TIF districts, the Redevelopment Commission does, we have to come up with an annual report showing how much revenues we've collected and so forth. And then we conduct a public hearing on those reports, and the public is allowed to review them and come in and provide comment. And I think that just helps the public know that the TIF districts and the Redevelopment Commission is on track, and maybe helps suggest directions for the future. So,
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Any comments, public comment? Seeing none, call for a vote on approval of Financial Solutions Group TIF annual reports. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Mr. Schilling. Next item.
Move approval of Aztec Task Order number 6 for Stip Road, Moores Creek Road, stormwater projects. Fund name Stormwater, fund number 1197, the amount of $78,760.
Second.
And we have Ms. Ridge here to talk with us about it.
Good morning. So the additional design services was to complete some legal descriptions. I believe we did not think we were going to have to do this at the beginning of the project with the Army Corps, but we ended up having to do this. It's actually for the property during construction, and then bid support services for 2 bids for the project sequencing, breaking it into 2 separate projects. The bids include the Stip Road contract and the Moores Creek roadway contract. And the additional services also included in the contract are tree planting plan and environmental services for monitoring and changes to the SWIP plan. This was presented to the last stormwater board, and it was approved at that time also.
Questions or comments from my colleagues?
No, I don't.
Since we all sit on the stormwater board, we've seen this before, yes. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, call for vote on Aztec Task Order number 6 for Stip Road / Moores Creek Road stormwater projects. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of an agreement with HNTB Corp. for on-call work. Fund name Stormwater, fund number 1197.
Second.
And we again have Ms. Ridge.
This on-call agreement is for engineering services on an as-needed basis for plan review, drainage and surface water analysis, hydraulic modeling, resource and regulatory agency permitting, education training, and project management on, again, as a needed basis. The agreement was presented and approved at the January Stormwater Board meeting.
Comments or questions?
No.
No? I don't have any either. Again, we've seen this before. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, call for vote on the HNTB Corp. on-call agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of Shrewsbury change order number 4 for Baby Creek Road small structure replacements. Fund name Stormwater, fund number 1197, the amount of $4,000.
Second.
Ms. Ridge.
This is for change order number 4. It involves the redesign of 2 lower water crossings on Baby Creek, changing the design from an aluminum box culvert to a concrete box culvert to help save on the construction costs. The new concrete box culvert design requires small areas of additional right-of-way for the corners of the boxes. This amendment covers the cost of acquiring and purchasing the additional right-of-way. Amendment number 3 we had originally had on here, but it had been approved previously in the July meeting, so we removed it.
Thank you. Questions or comments from my colleagues? Thank you very much. Will the concrete box culverts, this will actually save money in the long run, is that correct?
You are correct. We did a bid last May. It came in at an extremely high cost, so we went back and redesigned this similar to a bridge that we did on North Shore last year to make it a concrete box. So we believe we can save in the construction costs at that point.
Thank you. Yes. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I call for a vote on Shrewsbury change order number 4 for Baby Creek Road small structure replacement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
Move approval of the 2023 asphalt bid awards. Fund name Motor Vehicle Highway, fund number 1176.
Second.
Again, Ms. Ridge.
Sealed bids were opened in a public meeting. Zoom option was provided also on January 24th at 11 a.m. The Highway Department received 2 bids, Milestone and EMB Paving. We would like to award it to both of the vendors under Indiana Code 36-1-12-4, allowing to award to more than one supplier. At that time, we will use the most closest and most cost-effective supplier in relation to the location of the project and material availability.
Thank you very much. Comments or questions? Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Thomas? We've seen things like this before. I really appreciate the fact that you kind of say, okay, if you operate in the northern part of the county, that's who we work with for the things that we're working on in the northern part, and I appreciate that a lot. It saves money, saves time, I'm sure, as well, in terms of their travel. So I really like what you're able to work out. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor of the 2023 asphalt bid award signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of the Army Corps of Engineers easement for Stip Road Stormwater Project, fund name Stormwater, fund number 1197, the amount of $1,000.
Second.
Ms. Ridge.
And this is the actual road easement to replace the bridge and construct roadway flooding mitigation as part of Lake Monroe for the Stip Road Stormwater Project.
Any comments or questions from my colleagues?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Thomas? No? Any public comment? Again, we've seen these before, so all those in favor of approving the Army Corps of Engineers easement for Stip Road Stormwater Project signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. We'll move on to appointments, and I believe we have a few.
Yes, this is for the Community Correction Advisory Board. These are one-year terms expiring December 31st, 2023. We have 2 new appointments, Dirk Ackerman and Donna Crawford, and I'm making a motion as well to reappoint Linda Brady, Jeff Hartman, Miriam Northcutt Bomert, Mark DeLong, Linda Grove Paul, Jeff Holland, Dr. Chris Finley, and Jeff Carson.
Second.
Thank you very much. Is there anything you wish to add to this? Seemed very straightforward, and I really appreciate the fact that people are willing to serve and use their time this way to help the county. Do we take public comment on these? No. I didn't think so. Okay. So all those in favor of appointing the previously named individuals to the Community Corrections Advisory Board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This passes 3-0. Okay. Do my colleagues have any announcements? I want to remind people that there's free COVID testing available at the Monroe County Health Department at 119 West 7th Street, as well as at the Monroe County Public Health Clinic located at 333 East Miller Drive. You can also get COVID vaccine at the Miller Drive location. We are still accepting applications for a few of the boards and commissions. If you're interested, please go to www.co.monroe.in.us for more information, or you can fill out an application online. We are again hosting blood drives. These will occur at Ivy Tech and Shreve Hall out at 200 Daniels Way in Bloomington. The dates for those, the upcoming ones are Thursday, February the 16th from 1 to 6 p.m., Friday, February 17th from 10 to 3 p.m., and on Wednesday, March the 8th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and Friday, March the 10th from 1 to 6 p.m. You can make an appointment by going to www.redcross.org. We urge you to do that. Residents can also sign up for Monroe County Alert Notification System for all weather and health-related emergencies. To sign up, again, go to the same website at co.monroe.in.us. And as I noticed as I was walking in today, it was pretty cold, and there might be residents that are having issues with being able to pay for utilities. If that's the case, or if you have other emergencies, an emergency need for funds, I urge you to contact your local township trustee for possible help. Every resident of Monroe County has a township trustee. That information on their names and phone numbers is listed on our website, and also it shows up weekly in the minutes from the commissioners' meetings. Does anyone else have anything to add? If not, I'll call this meeting to an end. We will adjourn, and then we do have to come back for work session. We've got 2 items. It's now 11:20. What is pleasure? When do you wish to resume? 11:30. 11:30 work for everybody? Okay, we'll see people back at 11:30. Thank you.